All right, let's do the same thing on the other side. So what we want to do, and actually I realized I had taken this and I had parented it to here, and I actually, to make my life easier, I'm going to parent it to the clavicle control. So I'm going to select this, come over into my outliner and press F so I can frame it and find it. And here it is. I need to take this group, and I'm just going to take that group, hit Shift, select my clavicle, and hit P to parent it. And then you'll notice that my IKFK switch is kind of floating. So I'm also going to parent it to the clavicle. So I'm just going to select that, shift that, and hit P. And now all my controls are underneath this clavicle control. So this is great because we're going to take all of those things and we're going to switch it to the other side. So just like we've done before, I'm going to frame that. I've got to come up to my left clavicle control group. So everything that we've created on this side will go over to the other side when we do this. And actually, I just realized something. We need to set up the fingers because if we're going to be mirroring stuff, we might as well get all the controls that we want. So for the fingers, what we're going to do is we're going to set them up in a very simple manner. Instead of creating a control for every single joint, which you can do and is probably mostly preferred, for the most part, we only need the first knuckle to be to have full rotation and movement. And the rest of these are pretty locked in place joints. They're only going to be rotating on one axis. So we're going to create a control that has two attributes that we're going to connect to the rotation of the other two joints. And then that will make it so we only have 5 joints or 5 controls on the hands that we have to worry about. And we're going to use this guy right here. Now he's really big. So we're going to come in, hit F8, grab the control verts, and we'll make that fairly small. So yeah, we'll see how that looks. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add on 2 attributes. So edit, add attribute in our channel box there. And we're going to call where we want 2 float values. So we're going to call one the mid knuckle, and we will add it. And we're going to call the other one the tip. We can call it knuckle as well if you want, but I'm just going to call it tip. And we're going to add that. So when we have our mid and we have our tip. And then that's going to be the basis for all of our controls. We need 5 of these. So I'm going to duplicate it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 times. And then, actually, I'm going to group. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm going to group it, and then I'm going to duplicate the group 5 times. All right. So the first one will be our left thumb control. And then the group of it will be called the same thing, _GRP. And then our next one is going to be our left pointer control. And with an _GRP for its parent. The next one will be our left middle control. And you can call it middle finger, pointer finger, P finger, M finger, whatever makes sense. I'm just going fairly simple here. And then our left ring control and our left ring control group. And then our left point or our left pinky control and our left pinky control group. All right. Okay. These ones we want to do the same exact thing we've done with our FK controls and our clavicle and even our IK control. We want them to have the same orientation as the joint. So we're going to grab our left thumb joint, the very first one, and then we'll come over and we'll control click on the left control group, so the parent, and we want to do the same thing. We want to go to constrain, we'll go to the parent option boxes and make sure that maintain offset is checked off, don't want it on, and click apply, and it has snapped it right there. Okay, and then with that we can do the same thing with our others. So we can go up to our pointer finger and grab the pointer finger control group and do another parent constraint. It's going to snap that up. You'll notice it's got all sorts of crazy weirdness happening on it, and that is okay for right now. We're going to fix it. Okay, our middle finger with the middle finger control group and another parent constraint there. Right there. There we go. It's popped in. Now we're going to do our ring finger and our ring finger control group and do another parent constraint. It's going to snap it up there. And then finally, we'll select our left pinky knuckle and shift select the left pinky control group and do another parent constraint there. Okay, with all of these, it's created these control groups. We don't want these constraint nodes. So we're going to go through and we're going to delete each of those constraint nodes. They did what they needed to do, and that was just make sure that our joints were oriented properly. We're going to select all those finger controls and hit F8 and select all the control points. And then with E set, we want to make sure we are set to the step snap. And we want to make sure that we're oriented to the center pivot of the object. So each object is going to rotate according to its pivot point instead of as a group. So, and I'm going to change this over to, instead of object, I'm going to change it to gimbal, and we'll rotate this 4, 5, 6 times. That's looking good. We're going to rotate it back a little bit like that. And then we'll go to our scale tool, so hit R, and we want to make sure it's centered pivot for the scale so that they'll scale accordingly. And we're just going to scale that down. All right, yeah, something like that. Looks pretty good. Maybe a tiny bit bigger. Okay. All right, and we're going to do the same thing. Let's select our left thumb, go to component mode by hitting F8, select everything, and we're going to just rotate that on up. And you'll notice that with your control set to gimbal and you rotate it around, you can rotate it and it will you can get it to land on any of these axes, which is really nice, because it kind of tells you the direction that one rotation is going to let you go. So it kind of points the way. So we're going to do like that, and we will scale that down like that. Maybe a little more. Okay. All right. Now we have to set up constraints between the actual control and the actual joints going the right way. So left thumb to the left thumb joint, parent constraint, just like that. Right finger, pointer finger to the pointer finger joint, and just make sure, well, you should have deleted all your other joints on for fingers, so you should only be seeing your skin joints. So just double check you're constraining the right thing. Right, we are going to parent constrain that, select the ring, shift select the ring joint, constrain that, do the same thing and constrain that. So now, if we grab all these controls, we should be able to rotate them down. Wonderful. Excellent. Okay. We have the same thing here. We can rotate that in, rotate it around, rotate it out. Looks great. Wonderful. Okay. Now, all of these controls, they're always going to be on no matter what we have selected, our IK or our FK. So we're actually going to take each of these groups and we're going to parent it to our IK-FK switch, because remember, that is always present and it's always going to be following the wrist of our skin joint. So we'll shift select that last and hit P, and now those are all parented and they're going to follow our controls no matter what they are. Okay. The other thing we need to do is we need to set up these attributes, and each of these attributes are going to connect to the joint, and we're going to go with that's our rotate Z axis. Okay, and that should be rotate Z on all of these except maybe the thumb, which looks like it's the rotate Y, and that's fine. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to select our finger control for our pointer finger. We're going to shift select the next knuckle, and we're going to go up to Windows, and we're going to go to General Editors and our Connection Editor. That should already load in the left pointer control and left mid joint, and we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom on the left. We're going to find that mid knuckle, and then we got to find our rotate, which is right here, and we want our rotate Z. And then we're going to select our tip joint there, and we'll reload the right. And we're going to do the same thing. We want to connect the tip to the rotate Z. And now those are connected. You can see the connection happening right there. So now if I'm like, oh, hey, I want to rotate the tip down a little bit, well, then I can just grab that tip, rotate it. It's going to rotate it on that axis. The mid knuckle will do the same thing and rotate it down. And you can start shaping your fingers. Okay, and then, so you only have control on that one axis, but your main one can do everything, right? It's going to be able to move. Oh, I've still got some rotation on these. Zero those out. Okay. All right. So, yeah, it's still going to be able to move. You can still translate it if you need to help with the shaping. And then you have those tip ones there. We're going to do the same thing. with the other fingers. So now I'm going to select my middle finger. I'm going to reload the left, and then I'm going to select the second knuckle and reload the right, and then mid knuckle to the rotate Z, grab the tip, reload right, tip to rotate Z. And then again, ring finger, reload left, grab the second joint, reload right, mid knuckle to the rotate Z, grab the tip, reload, tip to rotate Z, and then last, our pinky, reload left. Excellent. And grab the second joint, reload right. We're going to do mid knuckle to the rotate Z, select the tip joint for the pinky, and we're going to connect the tip to the rotate Z. All right. Now we're going to set it up with our thumb, but in this case, it's going to be our rotate Y that it's going to control. So we will select the thumb control and reload the left side of our connection editor, select the second joint, reload the right side, and we'll do mid knuckle now to the rotate Y, and then reload the tip on the right side, connect the tip to the rotate Y. And now we're going to have that bending the way that we want it to. Excellent. Okay, remember to save often. We're going to save that, and we will be all set. Okay, so now we need to get all of our wonderful controls, and we want to flip them over to the other side. So we're going to find that left clavicle control group. We're going to do just like we did with our leg. There's just a lot more controls going with it. So we're going to hit Control D to duplicate the left clavicle control group. There we go. And then we're going to group it one more time, Control G, and you'll notice that that puts its pivot point at the parent, which is that upper back, which is right at 0. We're going to name this our right arm control. We'll do, let's get long, CTRL for control, orient, group. We're going to take that. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to go to right arm. We're going to go to the scale X, and we're going to go -1, enter. And now we have all of these beautiful controls set up on the other side, and we are now ready to connect all of these to everything else. But let's make sure we obviously, everything here is named with an L underscore. We don't want that. So select that left clavicle control group that we had duplicated, go up to modify, and go to search and replace names. And we're going to search for an L underscore and replace it with an R underscore. And make sure it happens on the hierarchy. Click apply. And now everything should be named for the right side. Excellent. So we can also see under here, if we open this up, that we're going to have these IKs. We're going to have a couple constraints that were duplicated over. These are garbage. It just duplicated it because it was there, but the connections don't actually exist. So we need to select each of those and just delete them. We don't need the left IK wrist. Don't need the left IK arm pull vector constraint. We don't need the left IK arm. Those were all duplicated. It should be all clean, just like this. So this functionality isn't going to exist. See, it's not going to switch it on or off. It is just there, but we can see our right shoulder control is just turned off here, so we could turn it back on and have that all set. Okay, now we just got to do the same thing. So we're going to duplicate the joints. We're going to set up we have the FK control, so we just have to set up the constraints, and then we have to set up everything for the switch. So that's the only downside. There's no mirroring functionality, unfortunately. Someday we'll have it. But that gets us all set up for doing the last few steps to get our arms all situated.